You know? So when you're believing something, you believe it like a much-loved child. Because kids fully believe. They enter into what they believe, yeah? But when it comes, but then you can come into the maturity of it where you know that this is true, and it's a whole different persona, and it's a whole different relationship. And both are just as valid, but you're moving from one to the other, yeah? So you're asking questions. Who am I in this situation? What am I believing? And you don't need faith all the time. You need faith until you pass from faith into knowledge. Then you don't need faith in that issue anymore. You know. So your faith is required when you're learning how to step into a new thing. Because what happens is faith takes you from a place of unbelief to a place of knowledge. And knowledge is experience. Knowledge is, I have encountered this, I have experienced this, therefore I know this. Yeah? That's knowledge. Yeah, knowledge without experience is head knowledge. When the Bible talks about knowledge, it's talking about experience. You've entered into the experience of it, and now you know it. Yeah? So then faith takes you from a place of unbelief to a place of knowing by experience. And once the experiences come in, and you've processed it, and you've become it, faith is no longer required in that area. Yeah? So I love the fact that faith is a part of your journey to take you into an experience of something that stays with you. Yeah? I'm no longer required to believe that Jesus Christ is Lord. I know it. Now I'm required to maintain my experience of that Lordship. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's good.
So experience means we've passed from faith into knowledge. Ephesians 1:18 says that you may know by experience what is the hope of his calling. That you may know by experience what is your confident expectation of what you've been called into. Yeah? 1 Corinthians 2:12 says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, so that we may know by experience the things that are freely given to us by God. Yeah? In your walk with God, there's lots of things that you're meant to come into as a knowledge by experience. And that is always a part of your encounter. So asking the question, who am I? It sets you up for that conversation. It sets you up to see something. The next upgrade in terms of who you are, it sets you up that you may fully enter into an encounter with God that he's actually set aside for you. So asking the question, who am I? It gets you ready for that conversation, that dialogue. So faith provokes experience, and experience provides knowledge of a superior reality. And then the Holy Spirit works with you to establish you in that superior reality so that it stays with you. It's called abiding, and it's called maturity. So abiding means when you come into an experience, you now stay there. You occupy that place until it becomes part of you. Yeah, that's what we talked about yesterday, practicing. You practice your abiding. When you come into an experience with God, you've got to practice it so that you can maintain it. So often we come into experiences of God, because our life is event-driven rather than internally processed. We always see our life as overcoming events. It's not about overcoming events. It's about discovering who you are and living there. And all the events, that's just a part of your journey. But sometimes if you're event-driven and you overcome the event, you just think, well, thank God I got through that and I got this. And then you don't keep the experience of it. You don't carry on until what you've come into, you abide in, so that it becomes part of you. You almost let go of it straight away. Yeah? And then you've got to retake that ground again. So whatever experiences of God you have, once the event is over, the next season is still about you learning to stay in that place. Don't back off from it. Go further into it. But make sure you abide in it and it becomes part of you. And I am this now. Who am I? Well, I am this now as well. Yeah? Make sure it becomes part of your identity.